The activism here in the UK from the Sikh Federation hasn't just stayed in the UK. Of course, what I talked about, I mentioned the building blocks, the stepping stones to Khalistan. Of course, a legal foundation needs to be built if Khalistan and when Khalistan is going to happen. But of course, one of those building blocks is to highlight the fact of what India has been up to. It's got to highlight the fact that, look, first of all, you've got to set out your stall to justify why Khalistan should be established and who it will represent and the principles for which it will stand for. At the same time, you've also got to explain, look, why it's needed because, of course, the persecution coming from India. You've got to highlight the fact of what India has been up to and proving it legally to the right people. Of course, by that, you're looking at the international organisations, the likes of the United Nations, which, of course, we talked about at length. Now, one of those other organisations, let's call it, that needs to be persuaded and educated about what India has been up to is, of course, again, one of the larger let's say, federations on the planet, that is the European Union. And of course, the Sikh Federation International and of course I would say probably pushed by the Sikh Federation UK have been actually lobbying the European Union. They've got into the European Union to again highlight the fact that, look, the European Union and the UK contains a very large Sikh diaspora. There's a large Sikh community within the European Union, and it's important that you understand what that community is about, what it represents. So very deliberately, the Sikhs have taken up these issues with the European Commission and actually inside the European Parliament itself. And last week, the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said in Davos that she would be going to India for her first trip of the new term. So this is why it's particularly relevant. So it provided a really important opportunity for the Sikh community to write to the vice presidents in the Commission responsible for human rights, the fundamental rights and rule of law, and to highlight to them, look, you do realise as you go and have your conversations, presumably about trade and other things, with India, you need to be aware of what's going on. And of course, what's going on is transnational oppression and this persecution of their political opponents and the oppression of their minorities within India. And of course, we reported recently how the United Nations were again lobbied by, very specifically and very deliberately and very cleverly by the Sikh community to set up their special investigation. They appointed these UN special rapporteurs to investigate India. They've written this 16-page letter, a very damning letter about India's misbehaviour, to put it mildly. So again, how they've used their lobbying powers to highlight India's misbehaviour, and how India's behaviour is actually directly impacting upon the Sikhs across not just the world, but specifically in different European Union countries.